Okay, so on the third money principle. So to recap, number one, God is the owner of all wealth. Number two, he gives his servants or his children, you and I, based not on how much he has, which is limitless, but based on our ability to handle it, right? So, number three, the story continues, right? Then he went on a journey, then he left. So at the beginning, remember that he said this man was preparing to go on a journey, right? So as part of his preparation schedule or whatever it was, he called his servants and gave them the resources, right? The talents, each according to his ability. Now it says, then he left. And I said that this main character is God. Now, how does all this fit together? I said that at the beginning, you have to remember that this story is about the kingdom of God, and it represents what God did at the beginning. He created, the heavens, and He created the heavens and the earth. Earth being the main thing that He left to us to manage, the main resource that He left to us to manage, right? And then He gave all of us different resources, right? Which you can find embedded in the earth if you're looking for wealth, right? And even by way of your talents, your giftings. Some people are hyper talented, hyper gifted. Some other people have smaller doses, but all of us have talents. All of us have gifts, not quite at the same measure, right? If you look at your hand, you have five fingers, but not all of them are equal, right? But each of them is a finger. Each of them is able to do something on its own, right? So that's a little bit of how it works. He gave everybody talents, right? And he gives everybody the access to wealth based on your ability to manage them. Then he does what? He removes himself from the equation, right? He, you know, he distances himself. So in other words, it's saying that God gives you resources, and then he sits back and watches to see what you would do with it. And that applies to everything that he gives you, right? Your brain, right? Your brain is a resource. It's actually the number one resource that you have. What you do with that brain, right? The things that you expose your brain to is part of the management cycle. So you can either manage it effectively or mismanage it. But whatever you do, God is watching, because what you do with the resource that he gives you would determine what he does next, as we will see very shortly, right? So he gives the talents, he goes on the journey, or starts to go on the journey, prepares to go on the journey. He gives the talents based on the ability of the servants to manage, and then he withdraws himself from the equation to watch what those servants would do. Okay.